Hey guys, I'm Fluid, and welcome to another episode of Flowing with Fluid.
Release, 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 release.
We're going to start by laying supine on our backs. We're going to use this time to breathe. We're checking in with our breath, checking in with our bodies. Making sure we take the full deep inhale and the full exhale. And on our next exhale, we're going to bring our right knee to our chest, hugging the backs of our thighs with our hands, pushing that knee in closer to our body. And we can exhale that leg back down to the mat. Take a deep inhale in. And on our exhale, we're going to exhale the opposite leg. Bringing that knee in. And on our next exhale, we're going to exhale our right knee to meet our left, bringing both knees to chest, giving ourselves a nice big hug here. And we can rock side to side to give our backs a little massage. Finding our way to center, giving ourselves a nice big hug, and releasing on our exhale. From here, we're going to bend those knees, bringing our feet flat to the mat. We want to make sure that we have about 6 inches in between our glutes and our heels. Placing our hands at our sides, we're going to come into a pelvic rock. So we're going to just arch our pelvic muscles forward, and then we're going to arch them the opposite direction. So we're curling our pelvic muscles up on our exhale and inhaling as we arch our backs and bring those pelvic muscles behind us. And we're going to continue to do this movement at the pace of our own breath. We're going to do one more. And then we'll inhale our glutes to center, coming straight. And as we exhale, we're going to bring our glutes up to the ceiling, our hips up to the ceiling. And as we inhale, we'll drop our hips back down to the mat. This is our flowing bridge. And we're going to flow at the pace of our own breath. And we can exhale, releasing those hips down to the mat. We're going to keep our legs bent. And we're going to bring our hands over behind our heads. We're going to come up into a crunch. So we're going to exhale, lifting our shoulders off of the mat. And inhale as we drop that down onto the mat. We want to make sure we're not placing any pressure on the back of our necks with our hands. but that we're using our core to lift ourselves up. Yeah, we're going to do one more after this one. And we're going to release and drop those legs flat. We're going to bring one arm overhead and turn on to that side. Gently pressing ourselves up into a tabletop position. In our tabletop position, we want to make sure that our wrists are directly underneath our shoulders and that our knees are directly underneath our hips. We're going to come into our cat-cow, arching that back as we inhale, lifting the head up. And as we exhale, rounding out that back and dropping the head down. And we're going to flow through this movement at the pace of our own breath as well. We're going to find our neutral spine. And we're going to come into our hip rotations. We're going to swing the body all the way around and forward, hinging forward at the hips. And just going in a circular motion. Letting those glutes graze our heels on the way back and letting our hips expand on the way forward. And we can rotate sides, going in the opposite direction. Making sure that we remember to breathe. And we're going to find our way to center. Expanding those knees out wide if you choose when you come back into your child's pose. Now you can do child's pose with your knees in, but if you would like to rest your belly down towards the mat, it may be easier to expand the knees out wide. And we're going to stay here in our child's pose. Breathing deeply and grounding ourselves. As we exhale, we want to strive to sink our chest deeper into the mat. And on our next exhale, we can rise up into that tabletop position. We're going to curl the toes under, lifting the hips up and back for downward dog. And here we can pedal the feet, giving ourselves a nice stretch on each side. And straightening both knees out, sinking that chest in towards our thighs, feeling that stretch in our calf. We're going to walk our legs up to meet our hands and inhale up into our mountain. We're going to exhale, swan diving forward. Inhaling up halfway. And we're going to do a modified Vinyasa, exhaling our hands down to the mat, stepping back into our plank. We're going to drop the knees down. And from here, we're going to hinge forward at the hips And slowly drop our bodies down to the mat, keeping our core tight. Inhaling up for our upper dog. And as we exhale, go ahead and leave those knees on the mat. Extend those knees wide and come back into child's pose. Child's pose is our resting pose. If at any point during this practice you feel that you just want to take a rest, you can always come into child's pose. And it's also good to set your intentions for your practice today while you're in child's pose. And yeah, this is a great pose for grounding. So as we are opening up the sacral chakra, it is important that we remain grounded and also open up our heart. So we're going to be doing a lot of grounding and hip openers as we work on the sacral chakra. So you can go ahead and inhale up from that child's pose into our tabletop position. Curl the toes under, lift the hips up and back for downward dog. This was a modified vinyasa, so if at any point, if you want to keep your knees straight, if you want to keep your knees on the mat, feel free to do so. So we are going to walk our feet up to our hands once more. Inhaling up. Exhaling as we swan dive forward. Inhaling up into flat back. Exhaling our hands on either side of our feet, stepping back into that plank. Doing our vinyasa, hooking our bodies with our elbows on the way down. Inhaling up into our upper dog. Exhaling, curling the toes under, lifting the hips up and back for downward dog. And from here, we're going to float the right leg to the ceiling. And we can bend that knee, giving ourselves a nice stretch in that hip. Allowing that leg to fall over the opposite side. And we're going to straighten out that leg, getting a deep stretch here. And as we exhale, we're going to exhale, bringing our knee to the same elbow. Inhaling the leg back up. Exhale the leg to the opposite side. Inhale the leg back up. Exhale our leg to center. Inhale the leg back up, and on our next exhale, we're going to swing our leg through to our hands, placing that back heel down. Coming into our runner stretch, we want to make sure that our ankle is directly underneath our knee and that our hands are on the insides of our thighs. Giving us a nice stretch right here in that hip. We can lean forward a little bit to get more of a stretch down here. We also have the option of coming onto our elbows. I'm not quite there yet, so I'm going to stay up here. And we can inhale, bringing our hands up, leaning back. Exhaling, our hands on either side of that foot, lifting that back knee off of the mat, stepping that back leg forward. Inhaling up into our mountain. Exhaling, swan diving forward. Inhaling up into flat back. Exhaling, our hands on either side of that foot, stepping back into our plank, doing our vinyasa once more. Keeping our core tight until we reach the bottom. Relaxing, inhaling up into upward dog. Exhaling, curling the toes under, lifting the hips up and back for downward dog. Exhaling the left leg to the ceiling. We're also going to bend at that knee, giving us a nice stretch. Straightening out that leg, running the same thing on this side. Exhaling our leg to our elbow. Inhaling that leg back up. Exhaling opposite side. Inhaling that leg back up. Exhaling to center. Inhaling that leg back up, and then we're going to swing it through. So our hands placing that back knee down. Whew. Checking that alignment, making sure that our ankle is directly underneath our knee. I know you feel that, Mark, because I do too. Feeling that nice deep stretch, trying to see if we can get into that pose even a little bit deeper, sinking our hips down. And we're going to inhale the arms up, extending back, exhaling our hands on either side of that foot, bringing that back knee off of the mat, stepping that back leg forward into our forward fold, inhaling the arms up, and exhaling our arms to heart center. So now we're going to come into our balancing pose. We're going to do tree pose. So for tree, we're going to find our perfect alignment, making sure all four corners of our foot is firmly planted onto the ground. Drop those toes down when we feel we have that balance to support our balance. Go ahead, shift that weight onto that leg. I'm using my left. You can choose whichever one you want. And whenever you're ready, find your focal point and lift that leg up, either above or below the knee. And just continue to breathe. If you fall out, that's perfectly fine. Just find your balance again and come right back into that pose. And we can exhale, releasing from that stretch, shaking out that leg that we were balancing on, shifting our weight onto the opposite leg, finding that perfect firm ground. And whenever we're ready, we can come up into our tree pose. Ooh, I was not ready. And remember, we also have the option of bringing our arms out wide. My balance is not there today, but that's okay. Maybe I just needed to open my arms and move more like a tree in the wind, because that's what's happening. And that's perfectly okay. Yoga is all about acknowledging where we are and where we would like to be, and taking those steps to get there. Accepting and changing. We can exhale, releasing from that stretch, shaking out that leg that we were balancing on. We're going to inhale the arms up. Exhale as we swan dive forward. Inhale up into that flat back. Exhale our hands on either side of that foot, stepping back into our plank, doing our Vinyasa, dropping our bodies down to the mat. Inhaling up into upward dog. And from here, we're going to keep the knees on the mat, extending our knees out wide, sitting back into that child's pose. Taking this time to ground, to breathe, and to congratulate ourselves for taking care of ourselves today. And we're going to inhale up into our tabletop position, making sure that our knees are under our hips, wrists underneath our elbows, coming back into our cat-cow. Looking up, and as we exhale, looking down, rounding out that back. Inhaling up, exhaling. Coming into our neutral spine, we're going to kick the feet underneath us, swinging through. And we're going to bring the heels of our feet together. And we're going to come into a sinking stretch. So as we exhale, we're going to get deeper into this stretch. Following the pace of our own breath, exhaling and striving to get closer to our heels. The most important thing is that we keep our back straight. So we want to make sure that we keep our back straight through this whole thing. And if this is as far as we can go to keep our back straight, then this is where we stay. So we'll come forward a little bit more, but keeping that back straight. And we can exhale, releasing from that stretch. And we're going to bring our legs in front of us. Inhaling the arms up. And as we exhale, we'll just fall forward, allowing the head to fall as well. Inhaling up. And we're going to bend our knees, placing our feet flat onto the mat. And as we exhale, we're going to slowly drop our backs down to the mat, keeping our core tight and making sure that each vertebrae gets a chance to touch at a time as we drop down. And we're going to come back into our bridge pose, and this time we're going to hold it. So we're going to make sure that our feet are about 6 feet away from our glutes, with our hands at our sides, and we're going to lift the hips up to the ceiling, and we're going to hold. Exhaling, releasing from that stretch. Taking a couple of deep breaths. And when we're ready, we're going to come right back up into that stretch, striving to get deeper than we just did. So we can stay here. This is as deep as we can go. And we can also come onto our shoulders and clasp our hands underneath our bodies, giving ourselves a nice big stretch here. And if will is a part of our practice on a normal basis, we also have the option of coming into will. We want to be careful and make sure that we're only doing what we feel comfortable doing. And this is a really good heart opener. It really opens up all of the chakras from this angle. And we can exhale, slowly releasing from that stretch. Straightening out our legs. I'm going to turn around again. Finding my placement. And we can straighten out those legs. Taking a few deep breaths. And on our next exhale, we're going to exhale our right knee to our chest. We can rotate the ankle here if we would like. We can exhale that leg straight down to the mat. Take a deep inhale in, and on our next exhale, exhale the left leg to our chest. And we can also rotate the ankle here. And we can exhale, releasing from that stretch, bringing our right knee to match our left. Bringing both knees to chest. And we can squeeze, giving ourselves a nice big hug here. We can also rotate side to side, giving our backs a nice stretch and a nice massage. Take a deep inhale in, and on our exhale, we can exhale and release, dropping those legs back down to the mat. Take a deep inhale in, and allow full exhale. We're going to come into our final relaxation. So grab a blanket, grab whatever you need to feel comfortable. Lay right here in supine if you feel like you are just at the perfect spot right now. Feel free to stay here. I'm going to grab my singing bowls and we can go into this meditation. Focus on staying in the present moment. We want to remember that the past and the future do not exist here. That we accept what is in front of us right here and right now. That we are open to healing, to growth, to love. We allow our emotions to flow. We want to focus on our breathing. Listen to the sounds around us. Maybe we gravitate towards the water that's flowing behind me. The frequency of the singing bowls. We acknowledge our thoughts. We allow them to come and we allow them to pass. We do not pass judgment. We acknowledge and move forward. Move forward with love. Move forward with peace. Move forward with abundance. We allow our emotions to flow within us. We acknowledge them. we start to awaken our bodies. We can start by wiggling our toes, wiggling our fingertips. And we can start to do a full body scan, checking in with our bodies and checking in with how we're feeling. Still lying supine on our backs. We take a few more deep breaths. Congratulate ourselves on taking care of ourselves today. And whenever you're ready, roll over to your side. Take a second there, just resting. And whenever you're ready, you can press yourself up into a seated position. I thank you all for practicing with me today. I hope that you enjoyed this practice. I hope that you enjoyed this flow, the sound healing. And we're going to close out by bringing our hands together at heart center first. And moving to our third eye and bowing before each other, saying Ubuntu, which means I am because you are. And I thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for watching. You are the reason that I'm here. So go with peace, go with love, and enjoy your day.
Empty your mind. Release.